Sana, so you mentioned the Taiwan crisis. Let's focus on that now. How are the implications from this conflict that you can see on a Taiwan crisis, the use of these weapon systems for China's Air Force?
I think there are two aspects to it. First is, of course, Taiwan was one of the major objectives that, a 2027 window is very near. So that I think it was a warning to the Western system that your Western defense system are not going to stand up against our system. I think, as I said, that it's all about the narrative that they're trying to establish. And I think in a way specific, with India, I don't think they have been successful, but with the West, I think they have been a little bit of successful in terms of projecting the narrative that we are prepared to fight a war for Taiwan and against the West. One of the things is that, but then I think another aspect is also that there have been several issues with the effectiveness of the Chinese defense system. So I think they have actually, because they really have no real combat experience, and that was a testing ground for them. India-Pakistan conflict, as in where else are you going to do it? You're not going to do it in the South China Sea. You're not going to do it with the Japan. As in, China is not going to be directly involved in a conflict as of now. With India, it hasn't really reached that level. So I do believe, and I think perhaps a lot of countries, a lot of people from international community didn't see it coming, that how the Chinese saw India, Pakistan as a testing ground. So now they have also seen the limitations of their defense system. And I think that perhaps when we talk about modernization of PLA, when we talk about Taiwan contingency, this is something that they have taken it from this and they're going to work on their defense system. But I do feel that there is no match for the Western defense system. And I do feel that if this is any warning, if this is any indication that perhaps the West, the international community, the Western countries that are concerned about Taiwan, they have to include India. And I think it's a collective cause. It's a joint effort that we have to safeguard Taiwan.
Yeah, especially after this conflict. Yes. Manoj, so a very key point that Sana made there, putting away the technical side of things, there's a human element. Do you think that this was a form of wake-up call for China, despite all the narratives that it's been spreading?
I strongly believe what Chinese export is not what they use at home. So that's something
so they're more superior at home?
I can't say, we don't know whether they're superior unless until they're tested on the Chinese home ground, right? So I strongly believe that what they export is not what they have at home, and we have to believe the operators of this air defense are not Chinese. They are from a different country and all the other countries. So what, during the combat, like the Chinese fighter pilots flying sorties around Taiwan, they have a very different combat experience as compared to, I won't say combat, but like a experience of going to a conflict, potential conflict zone as compared to the Pakistanis are doing with India. So it's a very different way of looking at things. And China-Taiwan issue is not more similar to India-Pakistan issue. That's very different, and it has a very different perspectives and narratives behind it.
Okay, let's go to the final question. Editor and defense specialist Nitin Gokal has said that post-Pahalgam and Operation Sindoor, it is clear India is alone. In war, in diplomacy, in setting narratives, not one big power stood unequivocally with India. Not Russia, not US, and no Quad member. Sana, what do you make of that?
As in, I don't think that India had any expectation from Russia, and India has been trying to diversify its defense cooperation away from Russia. And when we talk about India's policy, specifically when it comes to conflicts, disputes, India doesn't really expect any country to stand up for India. And India's policy is that the dispute needs to be resolved at the bilateral level. But I do believe that perhaps when we talk about containing China, when we talk about India being an effective counterbalance to China, that a more supportive statement in solidarity could have or should have come from specifically countries from the West, US, Japan, Australia. But I do have to accept that the most compelling, strong statement came from Taiwan. That Taiwan actually stood in solidarity with India, and then how it is actually against the state-backed terrorism. And India has all the rights to defend its people and its territory against terrorist attack. So I think we have to really commend what Taiwan has been able to do. And then countries that have been calling India as their indispensable partner, a strategic partner, friendly country, and they have kind of not been able to do what Taiwan has been able to do.
Manoj, I want your thoughts on that. Sana made a very good point, which is, if the US and its allies think of India as a counter to China, why didn't they support India in a conflict where the allegations are that Chinese weapons were used against India?
Well, as Dr. Shana just mentioned about, I would say like the Indians' experience starting from 1948 or 62, 63, and so on. So there was not much of support. But yes, Russia, US, Israel, and other countries have given out official statements supporting India's right to defense and right to defense against any sort of terrorist activities multiple times. And in this conflict, as we just discussed as well, the Russian S-400 system was there.
Yeah, but I think what Gokhale is saying is he's talking about that diplomatic support, actually coming out and making strong statements, as they have perhaps with Israel, for Israel.
Yes, I'm sure Taiwan did mention, I have seen the report as well.
No, I'm talking about the other
countries,
big
yes.
powers.
Other countries have also given out statements supporting India's right to defend.
So you actually disagree with the sentiment that Gokhale's...
At the beginning, maybe yes, but later on, the countries did came out with the reports. I'm sure you'll see it.